Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Daily Log Diaries. Instead of an aesthetic coffee clip, I instead offer you some Solution Architect work from home footage, complete with jargon.
So really, this isn't even like QC hot ship. This is just ad hoc.
This morning started out absolutely insane, so I did not have time to get near the amount of clips. I did not get a lunch break today. I did not have breakfast. I did have my coffee, thank goodness, but I thought I'd pop in really quickly to let you know that I am planning in a hobonichi weeks for work. It is a different weeks than the one I use for my personal planner, mostly because I need a little bit of work-life balance. Hey, today what I want to talk about is maybe the concept of planner peace, and I think that this can be a bit of a touchy subject because we all have really unique relationships with what we need out of a planner and a planner system and a journal and what those definitions are and what that definition of peace is. But I was journaling about this last night, and in fact I actually had to carry the topic over. I had a blank page on the 15th, so I continued it here, but I just had this bit of a realization, and this may not be nearly as profound to anyone else, so I apologize, but it really resonated with me and I felt like I wanted to talk about it. And that was the concept of planner peace is whenever I decide I am at peace. And throughout this week, I've been keeping track of what I need out of a notebook, how things are working, and the core of my planning system and my planning needs and journaling needs and requirements really haven't changed. When I think about what I needed last year compared to what I need for 2023, the main thing I wanted to bring into the new year was a little bit of a simpler approach, because last year in my traveler's notebook, I memory kept in a travel insert. I had a Dear Diary journal, daily journal, and then inevitably I kept wanting to add back in like a vertical memory keeping insert or some sort of memory keeping insert as a creative outlet to use stickers. But with those three inserts, the thing that I kept struggling with was what fell in what insert, particularly if I had photos, ephemera, what was worthy of being a travel journal insert spread versus my Dear Diary spread versus memory keeping, and I ended up kind of stretching myself a little bit thin. So when I lined out my initial 2023 planner system, I was thinking I would move into the cousin to combine all that, because I wanted to alleviate the stress of where do I put ephemera or where do I put photos? And the answer was always going to be in the cousin, either on a weekly page or a daily page, but it would all get collected in here versus having the separate spreads. And that was the only change I really wanted to make for 2023. Otherwise, the rest of my planning routines pretty much carry over. I will say using a standard size week has added the extra challenge of, do I need a daily? That's probably the biggest shakeup to my actual system versus the hardware that I'm using. And after December and most of January, I think I've come to realize I don't need the daily to be functional, but I want the daily to be creative. So let me just quickly talk about a couple tweaks that I made in my cousin. I think this series has been very hobonichi cousin heavy. Maybe my next vlog will have to be really focused on my weeks. But in general, I think I'm realizing like I'm ready to decide that I am at planner peace with this system because it is fitting all my needs. I am keeping track of all my appointments. I haven't missed any appointments. I know where to put down some stuff that I just scheduled. I'm getting my tasks done. I'm journaling every day. I have space to be creative every day. I get to use my fountain pens and my big need of 2023 of just having a one-stop shop for memory keeping and journaling is checked off with the cousin. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm at peace for now. I can change my mind at any point throughout the year, but I think what I really want to focus on is just getting more reps in with the system until I really find something that isn't working right, and then figure out if I can adjust that before I hop back to a different planner, which probably is how most people actually use their planners, and I'm just a little bit crazy. But anyway, if that is at all resonates or helpful to you, I hope it was, but it's just a couple sentences I wrote out last night and I was like, gosh, that really clicked for me. So yesterday's daily log diary, I talked about like missing space to doodle in my dailies, and I think I'm starting to look at this a little bit differently. So what I am doing this week compared to last week is I'm not going to transfer my tasks anymore. The last spread, I wrote down every single task that was in my hobonichi weeks as well, because in my head I was like, oh, this is my one archive, the only thing I'm going to keep at the end of the year. So I want to see everything I accomplished, everything I didn't accomplish, all that stuff. But now I realize I'm not going to part with either of these books. They're both going to live on my shelves forever if I get more than half a year in here. So I'm alleviating that need to kind of transfer all the tasks into this particular notebook. So I think that line has helped me a little bit, because now this entire space is feeling more creative to me. And it's very silly. I'm doing the exact same thing the last couple days in the weekly spreads. I'm putting down things I want to remember, but because I don't have to clutter it up with tasks and things like that, the sun has come to bless us with its presence. Because I'm not doing those tasks, it just feels more like a journal creative space. It was a small tweak, but I think it's really, really gonna help. So yesterday's daily log diary check-in is that I was missing the doodle space of my Passport Weekly, but by dropping the tasks from my cousin spread, that was a good move, and I feel like I've got the space to doodle like I would in my Passport, because they're doodles related to my day, and I'll just color them in at the end of the week and choose a color palette so they still look cohesive. Silly, but it's working. And finally, I admit it, this is fine, this works. And one of the things I was writing about yesterday is I am doing a challenge right now. Yes. To stick with this for a week. And if I decide I'm at peace and I say next week, let's just challenge myself again to stick with this for a week, and all of a sudden 2 weeks becomes 52 weeks and we're at the end of the year, and I don't know, I think that's just how I'm going to view it, 1 week at a time. I think next week I'm going to continue with this duo until I run into something that feels more like a deal breaker, and either see if I can adjust or switch book. I cannot believe we are on episode 6 of the Daily Log Diaries. That means I have 1 day left in my 7-day planner challenge using my hobonichi cousin in my hobonichi weeks. If it's not obvious, I'm pretty sure next week I'm going to try and stick to the same thing for another 7 days, and we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow will be the last episode of the 7-day challenge, but I'm hoping it's not my last episode of the Daily Log Diaries. I've enjoyed putting together more of a vlog approach to a story I want to tell or a topic I want to cover, and give you guys more behind the scenes on how I'm using my notebooks and my planners and the journals and some of the crazy thoughts that go behind my head when it comes to my planners. But to wrap up today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about my editing, because I got a couple questions on this. I do edit on my iPad. I use an app called LumaFusion, and I think you have to pay for it, but I definitely have gotten my money's worth out of it over the years, and I find it to be pretty intuitive, and there's a lot of tutorials out on YouTube. I do my thumbnails and titles and doodles in the app called Procreate, which I love to pieces. And finally, I wanted to talk about this style of vlog. I've been really into cozy vlogs, studio vlogs, artist vlogs. I have been very inspired by Megan over here on YouTube. I have her information in the description bar. I would highly recommend checking her channel out if you are looking for the best notebook chill content vlog styles. I've also really been enjoying watching Uncomfy & Co. I'll also put her channel down below. She's a clay artist, not so much into the notebooks, but similar vibes. If you guys have liked this style, let me know. And if you want me to kind of continue this, I think I can definitely see myself using this style of editing for some different topics. But I'll see you tomorrow.